All right, so a lot of you have been asking about Asuka Willa, WILLE.
WILLE.
反ネルフ組織ビレ
You know what? Wind Asuka, and it took me a while to get around this for you all. I've been busy with a lot of things recently with preparation with my guild on Union Raid, which Skyfall did actually get top 7 in NA. Asuka's release coming out, wanting to play Tribe 9, a new gacha game that came out recently, touching grass, walking 40 kilometers in a single day to catch some Pokemon, and really what made it more difficult was the more recent Twitch restrictions on highlights. I've been frantically trying to save nearly 9,000 hours of VODs. There are just too many things happening at the same time. On top of that, I had a pretty rough luck on Asuka pulls and was running out of other upgrade resources like skills, dolls, equipment foods, and rock investments, as I also had to make sure I had some decent overloads with my Asuka. Hitting a particular overload breakpoint is pretty important also with Asuka, which made this testing seem quite expensive. To give a quick example though, a simple ammo tier increase that increased my ammo by only 15% while below that particular breakpoint increased Asuka's damage by nearly 10% damage increase. I'll provide more detail about the specifics of Asuka in a later guide, so be on the lookout for that. By the way, if you're not subscribed yet, now is a good time to check and make sure you're subscribed so that you can catch my future videos on technical details and guides for Nikke. Took quite a while before we got here, and it made testing a bit more difficult and quite frankly expensive too. I've been also trying to maintain my alt accounts, and even if they're alts without whale investments required, they're also slowly running out of resources despite me trying to upkeep them every day as well. Well, despite all that, I barely managed through just now and would like to report my findings to you all. To put it simply, her damage is pretty good. Well, how good exactly, you might ask? Good enough to be on par with the current top DPSs right now, that is. And no, I'm not talking about needing Ray. In fact, what I think is going to be is Ray is a supplement to Asuka and other machine guns, but not mandatory for Asuka to perform. And even with that, I also think there's still substitutes you can use depending on the boss and the team compositions. Even right now without Ray, Asuka is performing quite well already. So let's take a look at some of the numbers here. By the way, if you guys are curious at the current investments of my units, I have my blah blah page available. I'll put the link in the description, so make sure you follow me there as well. You'll see the different unit investments I have. Please note that some of the investments might change along the way as time goes on and tests conducted on the video may not be similar to the current build, but I do try to provide context or evenly similar investments as much as possible. And also please additional note that my account is not the only one I do my tests on. I have other people as well testing data with other accounts as well, along with also my alt accounts I use for comparison and compare different levels of account as free to play, low spender, whale, or what have you. So let's make it quick and easy and compare her with the other main top DPSs right now. Namely, I consider units that are top neutral DPS right now to be Scarlet Black Shadow, Cinderella, Rapi Red Hood. And in the case of peer situations, regular Red Hood and Alice come in to do better DPS, assuming it's a peer situation that can be consistently taken advantage of, and even more so if their score. With that though, it's safe to say that her damage can match these Pilgrim units. We've tested with different team combinations, testing with similar and consistent supports, and also testing with different team building that suits each unit. Asuka's performance is comparative to the current top DPS units of Nikke right now. To give some examples, in a neutral boss with no core, Harvester with my main account, given that the consistent buffer of Crown, Alice, Rapi, Helm, SBS deals about 4.77 bill with the team-wide damage of 12.68 bill. Asuka deals 3.86 personal damage with a team-wide of total 12.04 bill. Cinderella deals 3.7 with a team-wide total of 11.47 bill. Now naturally, this team composition is heavily skewed towards SBS's favor, with Alice being a DPS and a buffer. So I adjusted the supports to match their ideal buffer instead. For Asuka's team, I replaced Alice with Maxwell, and she resulted in dealing 4.65 bill damage with the team-wide damage of 11.31 bill. Meanwhile, for Cinderella, I replaced Alice with summer anise and tested B1 as both rouge and rapi. With summer anise and rouge, Cinderella did 4.56 bill but only had a team-wide damage of 10.79 bill. With summer anise and rapi, Cinderella did 4.15 bill but had a team-wide damage of 11.28 bill. As you can see, replacing Alice with their more appropriate buffer does match their damage to SBS being buffed by Alice. The main difference in total damage is primarily because Alice is also doing a good amount of damage unlike Maxwell or Summer Anise. And in fact, there's another where we just match both SBS and Asuka with the same team as both the main B3 DPS. In both times, they basically dealt the same damage. This is with roughly similar amount of relevant mainlines where my SBS had 4 attack and 1 ammo, meanwhile Asuka had 3 attack and 2 ammo. Before you go ahead and go crazy though, I'd like to talk about the current trend that Nikke is going to now. This might affect how much you would want to deal with pulling for this unit. First, for sure, being a collab and limited character, you should get at least 1 copy of Asuka. In the realm of solo raid and union raid, having characters that fit the battle is much more important to team building than having a really strong character but doesn't quite fit the battle. In terms of general use with one team, there's plenty of side alternatives that you can utilize as well. If you don't have the likes of the other top tier Pilgrim DPS, then Asuka will serve you well as one of your major neutral DPS with the current teams. But to go more in detail on the trend for Nikke regarding team building, starting since actually Cinderella's release, solo raid has been trending to being able to have multiple main elemental teams as more and more elemental DPS are being released. We have seen it in Electric Solo Raid having 2 main electric teams where one was Cinderella Maiden HP team and the other was with Ein Summer Anise Infinite Ammo team. In Wind, it'll likely go in the trend of either Mana SBS with other supports or perhaps some people using Alice SBS with the Maid duos, and then the other Wind team with Asuka and Rei when setting up multiple teams. So we can definitely see Asuka with a long staying power in Wind content. But what this means also is your priority or reason for pulling, if we're talking about whether or not, is basically up to your competitiveness on multiple teams raid elemental advantage. Whether you want to be a Wind specialist for your union or whether you want to score top ranking in solo raid, then getting dupes is a choice you could take. Like I mentioned, getting 1 copy is highly advised, but for dupes, how I see it is, 1, if you don't have any copy of the other top units, you'll get your mileage worth on Wind Asuka just like how you would treat it if Rapi or Cinderella or Scarlet Black Shadow is rate up right now. If your main goal is duplicates for general use units, that is the next higher tier of DPS, then there's many other substitutes that you can use amongst the top pilgrims. For any competitive rankers, dupes are highly advised. As usual though, if your goal is just to be at top 3%, I've always said this and it's still true to this day that getting 1 copy is more than enough. But yeah, that's my thoughts for Wind Asuka right now. Guide will be delayed until Rei is released as there's specific build breakpoints that I want to talk about when building Asuka. So in order to not miss out on those, make sure you're subscribed already in YouTube and also are following me on Twitch as I do more testing and talk about the game there. Click that like for the YouTube algorithm and let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. That's about it for now and I'll see you guys next time.